Tennessee Democratic Representative Justin Jones. Thank you so much for being here with us.
It's excited to be here. A lot of excitement at the convention this year.
There certainly is. And listen, you have a tall order. You are going to be taking the stage. You are going to be addressing the convention. What do you plan on saying? And I am curious, did you have a plan, and are you changing it at all as you watch the days pass?
Yeah, so this is my first convention, and actually I wasn't even scheduled to be coming. I'm not a delegate, but I've been on a college tour trying to support Vice President Kamala Harris. Just was in North Carolina with Southern youth organizers as a surrogate, and just seeing so much excitement from young people, a multiracial coalition of young people who believe in the vision of going forward and toward our future and not leading into our darker history of Project 2025 that Trump wants to put, for the rest of our nation.
And he has distanced himself from Project 2025, but in terms of the young vote, that is certainly something that is very important to you, and we know that a lot of our voters right now are talking about the issues that are the most important to them. So in terms of the economy and inflation, Trump has a pretty good lead in those in our polls, but abortion is also a leading issue for many voters, and that is a place where Kamala Harris and the Democrats are doing far better. What are you hearing, and I guess on your entire college tour, but also from your constituents, about what they need to hear on this floor, on this convention floor this week?
Yeah. Well, I'm the youngest black lawmaker in our state, and last year we were expelled fighting for common sense gun laws. This is an issue that is very important to our generation, ending this constant tragedy of mass shootings, school shootings. That's a big issue we're hearing. Fighting for environmental justice, fighting for, an economy that works for people, so we don't have $7.25 minimum wage like we have in my state. I'm looking at college affordability, and what I see in this campaign is a candidate who's uplifting the voices of young people, who is listening to the voices of young people. Last fall I was in South Carolina with the Vice President on her college tour Fight for Our Freedoms, where we talked about these issues. And I know that when we talk to young people, you don't hear a lot of young people excited about the other side of the aisle, about Trump and his campaign, because it is about this mythology of what America once was, and not talking about what we can be, and making this nation a nation that we can inherit and give to the next generation. I'm 28 years old, the youngest in our state legislature, and I don't want to see a fight where my sister has to fight for her reproductive care. I don't want to live in an America where we're banning books, but we won't ban assault weapons that are terrorizing our schools. That's what I'm seeing in my state, and if we don't stop this movement, that is going to be nationalized. Tennessee is a preview of what a Trump presidency would look like for this nation.
Oh, and let me ask you a little bit more about, as you talked about here, the Tennessee Three, as you are known. House member Gloria Johnson is in a race right now to defeat incumbent Senator Marsha Blackburn. Do you feel like there is enough momentum to flip that seat there right now?
I mean, there's so much excitement, and I've really been focusing at the state level because we want to break the supermajority. When they expelled us, it's because they had a supermajority, so they were able to abuse their power and take this unprecedented step of kicking us out of the legislature. And what happened the very next day? We thought we were kicked out for good, but Vice President Kamala Harris came down immediately the next day to stand with us, calling for democracy, saying that this is an attack on our democracy and we must fight for common sense gun laws that protect kids and not guns. So what we're seeing is a lot of young people running. We have a mother who lost her son in a mass shooting running, who just won her primary, who's running for state house. So we're changing the face of power, and it's going to go from the state house to the White House of what this nation can be.
Changing the face of politics. Now, let me ask you this. There was some criticism from Republicans during this Tennessee Three that it was a bit performative, what was done. And we are hearing from voters right now that it can't be about talk. We need action, we need real policy, and we need to know how that policy can be fulfilled. In fact, I spoke with voters that said, no more broken promises. What are you hearing from constituents and delegates about how Democrats can actually fulfill some of the plans that you're hearing from Vice President Harris?
It's going to take doing things outside of the ordinary. When we went to the House floor, it was not without having tried other things before. They shut off our microphone, so we had to bring a megaphone to lift up the voices of young people, lift up the voices of our constituents, saying we don't want to go to school and deal with the terror of mass shootings. So it's going to take boldness. What we saw from this administration is the first Office of Gun Violence Prevention with the Biden and Harris administration. We saw a civilian climate corps. We see young people's demands being met, and we must continue to do these bold, progressive movements forward. That's what we want to see, and that's the excitement we're seeing here. That's what I'm hearing from young people, that they know that this administration that will act, and we must continue to lift up these movements that young people are leading, because it's really young people leading. I just saw the North Carolina delegation. They have more young people than any other delegation here. Over half of their delegation is young people, my age.
The youngest chair ever, right?
The youngest chair. I've talked to some folks from Mississippi, young people, particularly from the South, and I just want to say that as we go forward, let's not neglect the South. North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, the South has something to say, and that if we want to change this nation, we have to change the South. And so, in my state, we have a lot of people people who lean into this dark history saying that South will rise again. And I believe that's a lie. I believe the South will rise anew, that it's multiracial, multi-generational, pro-justice, anti-poverty, anti-racism. That's the South we're building, and that's the South that I know that Kamala Harris has stood in solidarity with.
And it's really interesting to talk with you, too, and especially as you bring up these issues that are the most important to young voters, because that doesn't always show up in the polling that we're seeing here as well. So thank you for highlighting some of that, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for lifting up the voices of young people in the invitation.
Always.